Hey y'all, I'm Damon Oates, founder of Deco Exchange. Who else has heard that crafting is just a hobby? I turned my love of crafting into a thriving multi-seven-figure company, surrounded myself in an amazing community, and met some amazing business owners along the way. I'm here to show everyone that makers mean business. Y'all, today we're here with Miss Jillian, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself and tell us what she does and how she got started.
Hi, everyone. Damon, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. My name is Jillian Leslie, and in 2009, I started a website with my husband called Catch My Party. And since then, we have grown it into the largest party ideas site on the web with user-generated content. So if you have, let's say, been on Pinterest looking for baby shower ideas or like a Minnie Mouse party, and you've clicked over to something, you've probably clicked onto my site. And then what happened was we needed to grow our Pinterest followers. So our Facebook, we were watching Facebook kind of turn the crank in terms of our traffic was just kind of getting squeezed. And we realized Pinterest was really important for our traffic. So my husband built a pop-up app, and if you go to Catch My Party right now, you can see it. And what it does is it pops up and asks people to follow us on Pinterest. And it really worked, and it helped grow our Pinterest followers. And so now we have something like 1.4 million Pinterest followers. And while people say Pinterest followers don't matter, they actually do matter in terms of the algorithm. So Pinterest knows that we are a really solid site and that it's good to send people to our site and show our pins. So we get millions of page views a month from Pinterest, all because, one, we have high quality content. So, we are the real deal, but really we've been able to just continually grow our followers with our pop-up. And then we said to ourselves, hey, wait a second, maybe other bloggers would want to use this. And with it, and it's called MiloTree, and we named it after our favorite tree in Hawaii. We were sitting under the MiloTree going, what should we name our new app? And my daughter at the time goes, how about MiloTree? Anyway, what we did though, listening to our audience, so we rolled it out. We said to other bloggers, hey, would you want to use this? Because it's been really successful for us. And they said yes. But then they said to us, what about Instagram? We want to grow Instagram. So David, my husband, who's a technologist, built it so that you could grow your Instagram followers with it. So what it does is it pops up on your site. So you have to have a blog or a Shopify store, something you own, and it pops up and it says, follow me on Instagram or follow me on Pinterest. And then we built out follow me on Facebook or subscribe to my YouTube channel or join my email list. And really, this has just come from listening to our customers and our users who were requesting different things. And what's cool about it is you can set it to grow multiple platforms. So like the first time you could set it, like Pinterest is most important to you. So everybody who comes to your site the first time will see your Pinterest pop up. And then when that person comes back to your site, they could see like your Instagram pop up or something like that. So we've kind of created it so that you can grow multiple platforms, but it's really we're big believers in this. It's one ask per visit because we don't want to inundate your visitors. And so from that, we've also created other things where we will set up. So I launched a podcast because I kept getting feedback from my audience going, wow, it's really weird that you have this like little piece of technology that you're selling. It seems really cold, like you're this corporate kind of technology company. And I'm like, no, it's just David and me. Like, we're just the two of us. So I thought to myself, to humanize it, I would start a podcast. And I started, which by the way, Damon, you'll be on, I think next week, the podcast. So I started a podcast called the Blogger Genius Podcast. And I started it because I listened to podcasts. So I felt like it was a medium that I understood. And I've been doing it for, like 2.5 years. But then what was weird about it was I'm doing MiloTree, the podcast, because I want people who are bloggers to sign up for MiloTree ultimately. And then I discovered that people who were listening to the podcast had not started blogs yet. And I had this crisis, this moment where I thought, oh, I'm attracting the wrong audience. Oh no, I need you to have a blog in order to put MiloTree on your blog. And then we stepped back, David and I, and thought, wait a second. Maybe I'm not attracting the wrong audience. Maybe there are people out there who do need WordPress blogs. But setting up a WordPress blog, just as before we pressed record, technology is difficult. So we thought, well, what if we came out with a service where we could help people set up WordPress blogs and optimize it? And so it's just interesting. I think the lesson for us is always, like, what does our audience want, and how can we see it as an opportunity rather than a problem? Like, I was sitting here going, oh no, like, I'm going to have to restart this podcast. Like, this is not working, only to discover, oh, there's a whole other group of people that I never would have thought would be listening to the Blogger Genius, people without blogs. So I just think that that's always such an important lesson.
Yeah, you have to be willing to shift.
And listen and like see things in new ways instead of looking at it as like a problem. How can it be an opportunity? And so, and again, speaking to this, so we have these people and we set up their WordPress blogs and we're like, okay, go. And then they look at us and they go, what do I do now? So then we're like, oh no, we have another problem. So we said, why don't we do coaching? And so we do 6-week coaching groups where we walk people through what to do then to grow your business. And I think that I'm a big believer in a concept called emergent business building, which I would say is the opposite of top-down business building. You know, top-down business might be something like a planned community, where you go, okay, here's where the houses are going to be, and here's where the clubhouse and the tennis courts and all of that. And I'm a believer in just kind of allowing stuff to emerge and to see where things take you by listening and being open to solving people's problems.
Absolutely. So how long have you been doing the online business?
From Catch My Party or from MiloTree?
Just in general.
Okay, so we started Catch My Party in 2009. And so before that, I was a writer in Hollywood, and I was writing movies, teen comedies. Like I worked on the movie Freaky Friday, if you saw that with Lindsay Lohan, back when she was like young and stuff. And my husband was working back in the day at MySpace. So I'm working on teen comedies. My husband is working at MySpace. Remember Tom? I don't know if you remember Tom, your first friend. Yeah. Like David worked directly with Tom. And so we thought to ourselves, like, why don't we take our fate in our own hands and why don't we create something, just the two of us? And we came up with this idea of creating a social photo sharing site for teen girls. I write for teen girls. All David does all day at MySpace is see, pages and pages of teen girl stuff. And then it was, again, kind of fascinating because we hired, like this was just a side hustle. I'm writing movies, he's working crazy hours, but on the weekends we'd like be drawing, diagrams and things like that. And we hired some developers in Indonesia to build us a site. And we didn't really know what we were doing. And it was like super crazy pink and purple because we want to attract teen girls. And then what we discovered was, the problem we faced was nobody was putting parties up on our site, right? So you had to upload your party photos and we show them off and do all this stuff, and we're a community. And then it was kind of weird because I'm like this 30-something-year-old woman stalking teen girls on the internet going, hey guys, like, hey, I'm Jillian. Like, I see that you've got some photos. Like, I'd find photos on the internet and I'd be like, hey, will you put your party up? Like sweet 16s or quinceañeras or graduation parties, bar and bat mitzvahs, those kinds of things. And I think people were like, this woman is like a stalker. This is crazy. And it was like this chicken and egg problem because we need people to upload photos so people would then want to come and see those photos. And so we're like, how do we do this? And then one day, a woman who was like a mom with an Etsy shop selling beautiful party goods put her photos of a party up on our site. And then another mom with an Etsy shop, and by the way, we were like, yes, like you can put links to your Etsy shop on our site so that people can find you and find what you're selling. And so then all of a sudden, all these moms with Etsy shops and little kids, would put up like a ladybug party or like a Toy Story party. And again, I had that crisis where I thought to myself, oh no, this isn't our target audience. What are we thinking? Like, we're thinking like, should we delete these parties? Like, oh, like how, like no teen girl is going to think it's cool to like have your party up on like a site with My Little Pony parties. And then we stepped back and we said, oh, wait a second. Maybe this is our site. Maybe this is our audience. And again, it's like one thing that I think is so great about the internet is that you co-create with your visitors. And so we had never thought, oh, well, we're going to be a site for moms and baby showers. We were like, we're going to be that cool site with those cool teenagers. And that never materialized. But we found our audience.
So it sounds like your business has kind of morphed quite a few times as you keep listening to your audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that over time, I've come up with this theory, which is you have a hypothesis. So our hypothesis was we work in the market of teen girls. Like if anybody understood them, it was David and me. Our hypothesis is, what a cool idea. We're going to create a site for teen girls for their parties. But you have to, and so that's how we built it. And it was pink and purple, crazy. But you have to hold it lightly. And in the beginning, I was holding on to it really tightly, going like, damn it, I'm going to get those teen girls on my site. But now I've learned that you're kind of testing all the time. And so you hold it lightly because ultimately teen girls might not show up. Kind of like bloggers were not, I mean, there were, of course, bloggers showing up on the Blogger Genius, but there was this whole group of people who hadn't started blogs, And so again, you look for that opportunity where I never would have thought it was going to be moms on Catch My Party. And I never would have thought people wanting to start blogs would be listening to my podcast. But you have to be open to saying, okay, this is who I think it's going to be. But the truth is there's this whole other market that I did not anticipate that has shown up for me. And how do I then morph that into something and solve that person's problem?
Do you try to solve more than one person's problem, or do you try to focus on one problem at a time?
Well, like in terms of MiloTree, for example, as I said, what we've realized is, so we can kind of see this customer journey in a way also on Catch My Party, which I'll explain in a sec. But for MiloTree, for example, we built an app. And the app is for a very specific purpose. It is to grow your social media followers and your email list. So we're like, okay, we're going to take a stab at like this middle problem that people have. And then I'm like, okay, I don't want to seem like this cold corporate company when we're not. I want people to trust me and recognize like, oh, I have some business experience. I have an MBA, like we're the real deal. So I start the podcast. And then I realize, wait a second. Okay, so now I think I'm funneling people into signing up for MiloTree, trying it out. Like we offer 30 days to try it out for free. And then I realized, okay, I've got this problem, which is people don't have blogs. Okay, we're going to start that. And then I realized the next problem exists, which is we hand over like the keys to the car into the Mercedes, as I told you, because you've a highly optimized blog now, right? Go. And then people look at us and go, well, what do I do? And we're like, oh, okay. So that's how we said, let's start our 6-week coaching group. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, some people said, wait, I don't want to say goodbye. And we're like, what do you mean? We did it. And they're like, no. Like, what else can we do? And we're like, well, maybe we'll turn it into a monthly membership. So the people who graduate from that, a bunch of them go on with us. But like, we didn't anticipate that. Or we say, hey, go create content on your blog now. We'll show you how. But then people go, I literally do not know how to use the blog. So we're like, we're going to do a session where we walk you through WordPress. Like, let's start at the way beginning. So I think that by following our audience, we continue to move with them on their journey. And so it is linear in a way. It's not like we're kind of trying a bunch of different things. We're saying like, where's the problem and how can we fill that gap for them so that they're successful? The goal is, I want you to be super successful because then you trust me and then you know that I'm providing you value. And if you've got a hole where you're falling down, I want to help support you during that. And for like the thing I would say about Catch My Party, which is really cool, is for certain people, they'll upload like the baby shower and then they'll upload the first birthday and then the second, and we can watch people growing because they use Catch My Party as a place to store their party photos so that they have them in a specific place. And to me, there's nothing better. And then also we can go, okay, like what, if in fact you've got this, baby shower, we know that if all of a sudden we're seeing a lot of baby showers, we know that like first birthday content should be coming up as well. And so that's kind of the way that we follow people, or people kind of use our site over time. And so that's really neat too, to have those long-term relationships with people.
Yeah, so you basically kind of build the customer that you want. You start out with, they don't have a blog and you get them their blog, you teach them how to use their blog, so they want your MiloTree.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Ultimately we can set up their blog and we can teach them how to get traffic, then they have a need for MiloTree. So in a weird way, we're backing into our initial problem, which is how do we get people to learn about MiloTree, know about it, trust us, buy it, subscribe. And so you're right. It's like we had this problem here and then we kind of built this long solution to get people to do that.
Do you know if there's any plans for MiloTree to integrate with SMS marketing in the future?
Ooh, we've talked about it, but we have not yet figured out our solution for that. But that's always an interesting idea because I know you use SMS a lot.
We do. And we've actually just switched to a new program called Community where it's...
I just got an account with Community.
Okay, so it's mass texting and two-way.
Yes.
So it'd be interesting, like if there was a pop-up that came up with our little phone number that said, did you enjoy my blog? Please let me know. Text me here.
Well, actually, what we have is a pop-up that you can link anywhere.
Okay.
So if you, for example, had a landing page, you could personalize it with, actually, you could just personalize it on the pop-up and say, hey, here's my phone number,
right.
Like text, I can send you text, so we can automatically do it. And I don't know if Community has a page you can go to do it, but you could do it right there. So no, we did that because people kept saying to us, hey, what if I have a sales page, or I want to send you to my affiliate link, to some affiliate landing page. Can we do that? And we said we could do that. So you can put in text, a photo, custom. And if you want it to go to a link, it will link to wherever you want to send it. So it doesn't have to go directly to like Pinterest or Instagram or your newsletter. So you could do it. Yes. See, there's like a hack for it.
You can integrate. Awesome. Because we have MiloTree on our website.
Oh, you do? Okay. So then go to custom and you can create it.
Okay. We'll test
and get people to do that.
So, question for you. Was it always this easy for you to navigate the online space?
No. I think that, first of all, it's always changing. Always. I think, it's a little bit like parenting. If you have small children and like the big thing is you want to get your kid to sleep, and I have always found like as soon as I think I knew something about getting my kid to sleep, that karmic banana peel would be right there for me to slip on and I would just fall flat on my face. Like especially if you were a new parent and I'm going to give you advice. Okay, like I'm going to be like, oh no, here's the solution to getting your kid to sleep. Like it was as if God was looking down at me and laughing so hard. Of like, you think you know something? And I feel the same way about building businesses online. I feel like, because we're like an OG, like a original gangster in this whole space. And we were doing this before Facebook. And to watch the evolution of this, it's humbling. That's the thing I would say. The word that I would use, building businesses online, is so humbling. And you have to be willing to weirdly fall on your face. And you have to be willing to have those sleepless nights going, it's not working. And then to step back. And so, I'm joking like, oh my God, I'm attracting the wrong audiences. But like those were serious, like existential crises. And so now it sounds like, oh yeah, and then I figured it out. And then I just pivoted a little bit to the left and I solved it. Like it's not that, I wish it were that easy. But I think that there are certain things like staying nimble, being willing to change. Pinterest will change and go, we want like original content now. Like you have new content. You have to add all these pins and everybody's groaning, going, wait, I used to just be able to repin my pins. What are you saying? Now I've got to keep making pins. And instead of being one of those people who is lamenting the past, I really try to embrace the future and I try to see it as an opportunity. For example, if I'm the one who's making new pins, I can bet most people are not, so I'm going to succeed. And so to kind of reframe things as opportunities, I think has been helpful. But don't think I don't have sleepless nights, or that I'm not crying or lamenting the past. It's just how quickly can I pick myself up and go, okay, well, that's not working, so let's go this way. And I'm a big believer in testing and testing cheaply. Meaning, don't spend a year putting together your course when you don't know if anybody's going to want it. And then you end up going, God, that was a huge waste of time. Talk to your audience and put out little tests to see would people be interested in this. Maybe put out a mini course and see if people sign up for it. So that, and I'm also a big believer in something I call B- work, which is if you are a perfectionist, like the internet will break you. You must be able to put stuff out that you're a little embarrassed by.
Yeah, I mean, we're in year 6 and nothing's perfect.
Nothing's perfect. No. You have to embrace that. It's messy. And like, if you look, like I was telling you about my like podcast setup and I'm like, it's janky. Like I have this connecting to this, like I put it together with like chewing gum and paper clips, but it kind of works. And as soon as it stops working or I'll move to whatever my next solution is. And that's why I was asking you, like, what do you use? But the truth is that like a lot of stuff is really messy. And if you're a person who likes to dot your I's and cross your T's, like this is not the business for you.
I always tell people that perfection's not profitable.
Ooh, I am going to write that down.
Not in the online space, because by the time you perfect it, that's outdated.
Totally. And again, as I am a testament, you need to be co-creating with your audience. Like if let's say, you make wreaths and they're all in orange because you're like, well, it's fall and it's Halloween and it's Thanksgiving and people don't buy them because they want purple wreaths. Like the only way you're going to know that is you put out a couple orange wreaths and people go, could you do that in purple? And then you go, oh, wow, this is a weird fall season. Okay. I'll do that. And so it's by listening, by putting something out there so people can respond, because maybe they don't know they want purple wreaths, but when they see orange ones, they go, that might look better in purple. And then you hear that and then you go, oh, I'll make some purple wreaths. But you're not going to go make 100. And I think that you've got to assume you're going to put out that kind of rough work so that you can get feedback. Like feedback is what you're looking for.
Absolutely. I've launched 13 courses now, and none of them have ever been written before they're paid for.
Ooh, explain.
So I only do an outline, and then I launch an outline and a sales page.
Well, it's funny. So we did our first coaching course back in like the end of 2019, and I did the same thing, and like I taught it with David and he thought I was crazy, but I said, I know what I want to teach the first week, and then I'm going to trust that by hearing I too put an outline together, like these are the top, okay, here I said these are the things I want to hit, but I did not know the order and I didn't know the emphasis. And then each week I would go, I know what I'm doing next week, just based on listening and hearing where their questions were. Like, oh, they seem to know a little bit about this, but they do not know about this. And so now over time, now we've done a bunch of these, I've been able to really hone in on, oh, this is why in week 3 we're talking about X. X, we'll deep dive into Pinterest or whatever it is. So I'm with you on that. And it's scary the first time because you're like, they're going to find out that I don't really know what next week is.
Yes, and that's exactly what happens too. Because they're always like, "Can you give us a schedule?" I'm like, no, no schedule. Because I think you're right though. I mean, you listen to your audience and you can hear if they need more of this topic or less of that topic, and it makes a huge difference in their success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, for us, and I don't know about you, but we show up live so that we can, because each group I think is fascinating. They all have different tenors. They have different things that are like themes within the group. Like the group that we're coaching right now, the theme is, I feel like an imposter. It's all, and so I hadn't done this before, but in the first week, I could just feel it, that they were all like, I'd be like, well, what are you an expert in? And they'd kind of want to go, everybody was like, I'm not an expert in anything. So what I did I give homework, and I quickly adjusted the first homework to say, what are your limiting beliefs? And I've never done that before. But this group, and so what I did was I have them handed in to me, and I put together a document where I just, without their names, what their limiting beliefs were. And I read it. And first of all, they were virtually all the same. And I think it was so beneficial for this group to hear that everybody is feeling the exact same way. Now, I think I will probably take that with me and teach it in the next group, but it was like that came out of this group of women who somehow were all experiencing this same thing. And I feel like for us, those are the things I can pick up by showing up with these specific.
So question for you, if you know, with everything that you know now, if you could go back to the beginning, what is one thing that you would change in your business?
I would say it is along these lines, when something doesn't work, to pull up quicker. There are times, again, because, remember I said you have a hypothesis and you think it should work. And I think too many times in the beginning, I'm going, no, this should work. And it didn't work. And I think I've learned now, if it doesn't work at the beginning, chances are, yes, I could tweak it and maybe I could get a 2% increase. But from what I have found, the things that are going to work are going to work. And not that I can't, again, improve them or strengthen them or grow them. But when I have thought something would work and it actively didn't work, I can work really hard at trying to improve it, and I can't do it. And it is much better to pull up. And I think of that when it comes to hiring as well. If you hire somebody and in the beginning you have a weird feeling, like, she's not really getting what I'm saying, or he's not really doing it the way that I want it to be done, but I'm going to, like a bad relationship, I can change him. Yeah. So I have learned that with people, so this is what I do when let's say I hire somebody to help me with Instagram or to do some scheduling for me or whatever. I usually hire out those kinds of very specific tasks. I now say to this person, I hire for a very specific task. This is not like, hey, you're going to be my assistant. You're just going to kind of learn. No, it's like, hey, you're going to put this link in this box and send that to me in an email. It's that kind of thing. And then what I say to them now is, I'm going to hire you for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, for this specific task, and I'm going to make it really clear. I'm going to videotape what I want you to do. You're going to see me take the link, put it in the box, and send the email, right? And I'm going to tell you that I'm open for any questions that you have. Please reach out to me. I am available. And then I say at 2 weeks, we're going to meet again. Because we'll let's say get on a call or do something in the beginning. And then I say, we're going to do this in 2 weeks and we're both going to see whether we think this is a good fit. And if it is, great, we'll keep going. And if it isn't, no problem. We'll just kind of part ways. And I've learned that the hard way. So when something doesn't fit at the beginning, like we're too busy and we need to be moving quickly. And so to spend time working on the relationship, it ultimately at the end of the day, I'm going to let this person go anyway. It might just be 6 months of pain down the road. And so I would say that is one thing. I wish I didn't have as much belief in my own ideas that like, I know it will work. It's somehow I need to just continue to tweak it. And it's like, no, even though I think I know my business, I don't necessarily know it like I think I do.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Have a rule: hire fast and fire quicker.
I love that. Oh my God, you're like, well, I'm writing down all your quotes.
We don't have time for all that, man. Just in and out.
I get it. But again, like you learn that over time. And again, I think as women, we want to make it work. Like I think I'm a nice person and you're probably nice, like, somebody I hired, they're a nice person. We should be able to make it work. And instead, by having that 2-week window, it's a little bit like there's an escape valve. Without it being like, hey, we have to have that really awkward conversation. It's like, you know what? It's not quite working for me. I want to go in a different direction. So thank you. And then done. So I totally, that is something I think if I could have learned that earlier, it would have saved a lot of heartache.
I think for us, our businesses are always so personal that every time I try to hire someone, I want that person to be a good fit long-term. Mm-hmm. Like, where can you be in this company in 2-3 years compared to where I hired you at? And if you're not that person, then don't waste our time.
Right. And what I find is I bring people on with very specific small tasks. And then if they're good, I've got more tasks for you. That's how I'm able to kind of go, do you want more work? Because I've got more work for you and I trust you. And I know that you're good at, say, following directions or being a team player, rolling with the flow, whatever, going with the flow. And so therefore, that's how I found my best people, is by expanding their job over time, but starting very small, very concrete. That's the other thing too. I think having concrete tasks is really beneficial, even for yourself as a blogger. Like I go live with my podcast on Wednesday and there's no negotiation. Now there is a lot of stuff in my business that is in flux and that doesn't show up necessarily on time or when I hope it does. However, there are things in my business that happen. And hell or high water, if I have to stay up super late on Tuesday night, I'm getting that podcast up. And it might not be, again, it might be B- work. Like it might be a little rough, but I'm okay with that. Like I might not have edited out, I don't know, that weird crash of, my coffee, like me going, aha, or whatever it is, or my daughter walking in. I try to, but if I have to have her still interrupt and go live with the podcast, I'm going live with the podcast.
Absolutely. So normally I ask the guest if they have a myth they would like to debunk, but because you're such a blogger, I have one that I want you to debunk for me.
Go ahead.
So a lot of people out there think that blogging is not profitable.
Ooh, okay.
Can you help change their mind a little bit on that?
Yes. I'm going to put a word in front of that. Intentional blogging is profitable. And there are a variety of ways to be intentional with blogging. If I'm a blogger who just wants to kind of talk about my life and my recipes, my parenting tips, and my travel, and I love Disney, and I've got like some DIYs, and I'm just going to share that. That's a hobby blogger, and that's hard to make serious money with, because the way you would monetize that is via ads and maybe affiliate links. And you will make, if you can generate traffic, you can make some money with ads, not a ton. And you can make some money with affiliate links, but not a ton. So could you be making some money for Target, to do your monthly Target shopping? Absolutely. But if you really are wanting to quit your job and blog, then you've got to be much more intentional about everything you do. And you need to niche down. Lifestyle isn't, I'm going to say it, lifestyle's not a niche. You need to become an expert at something, which doesn't mean you need to get a PhD. What it does mean is you need to know what it is you're talking about, even as like an advanced, I would say like you could be an advanced beginner and create a really successful blog. You need to be like a step or two ahead of your audience. And a lot of times that's beneficial because let's say you're a super expert, you don't really remember what it was like to really start at the beginning. So because we do this coaching group and I have people, do homework and send me their blog posts, one of the women in my group she's like an architect, right? She helps people with like their kitchens, and she sent me a blog post and I'm like, you don't know how much you know, and you're writing for an audience that you think already knows this. And I need you, like she was using some terminology that she assumes everybody knows. And I'm like, no, you have to pretend I'm 5 and lead me by the hand through this, explaining everything. Because I don't know the first thing about kitchen remodels. So it was like, I was like, dumb yourself down so you can talk to, not that she was speaking in like a lofty way. She just was using terms and knowledge that I didn't know. I didn't know what it meant. Anyway, my point is you can be an expert as an advanced beginner. And you might, as I said, be a better resource because you understand the pain points, but that's it. You have to identify those pain points for people, and then you have to have solutions for your audience. And then you have to get to know them like intimately and really empathize with them and find solutions that you can monetize. That's the way you build a successful blog where you can quit your job and go do this.
Yeah, so our blog is monetized. We do make money from it, but everyone's always like, oh, that's just because you have a large following. So I wanted to get someone else's opinion in there to help you understand that it's not just that. Like, you can be intentional and you can be profitable with a blog.
But I would say this, you do want to be selling a solution.
Yeah.
Again, like you could be selling a solution to brands, like you do sponsored work, because that's usually more lucrative than ads and affiliates. But again, you got to be intentional. You got to be courting brands. You've got to be active on Instagram. You have to be building those relationships. So again, back to that thing of like, if you're just a blogger who wants to just have a blog so that your mom can read what you're up to and see photos of your kids, that's not a business.
A lot of people have to turn off their hobby switch and turn on their business switch if they want a business.
And I think that a lot of people get grumpy about that. Like, it's my blog. I should be able to blog what I want. And I say, you do that. Go blog whatever you want, but don't expect that dollars or that like a man with a suitcase full of money is going to show up at your house. You have to work for that.
So are you surprised at how online businesses are actually able to thrive in today's economy?
You mean during this pandemic?
During the pandemic?
I feel like, so for example, Catch My Party, our traffic took a huge hit because who's planning parties? And then we were able to pivot by creating content like, hey, how do you throw a virtual party, or how do you throw a party with social distance? And that has really, again, so leaning into the pandemic, but our traffic is still, I was looking today, down 20% from where we were last year. Usually we're growing. But by the way, it was down like 60% in March. So I go, well, that's a positive. So I feel like certain businesses are doing phenomenally well. Like if you're a food blogger, because guess what? People are home and they want to make food and they need your recipes. If you're, let's say, a design blogger or DIY blogger, because people are home and they want to find activities. If you're like a kids activity blogger with a lot of things you could do in your house, I think you're killing it. But if you're a travel blogger, I feel like I don't know when that's going to come back. And I'm not sure. I've seen some solutions of people doing virtual tours or creating posts about how to be safe traveling during this time. So I feel like it's both, depending. And is there a way, if you're I have 2 pieces of advice. One, you're in that space that's doing well. How do you accelerate that? So you're a food blogger and you're getting a lot of traffic on Pinterest. Well, what kinds of recipes do people want today? Like maybe people just, want to drink. And so you need to make more cocktail recipes. Maybe you need more kid-friendly recipes. Like maybe you need more leftover recipes. But I would be thinking about how to dig in. And then same advice though for people who are struggling like us with Catch My Party. How do we see what's going on? I can't tell you how many party people now I've said, are you digging into the pandemic? And they're like, no. Somebody I was talking to creates invitations. And she said, oh yeah, our business is taking a hit. And I said, are you doing invitations for drive-by parties? Or virtual parties, or social distance, like themed. So like I was seeing on Etsy, there was this super cute invitation and it was called a masquerade party.
Okay.
And had pictures of masks. And I thought, that's brilliant because one, I'm going to send this invitation. It's super cute, but also it's going to kind of let you know that we are taking, precautions and we are taking safety very seriously. So just even seeing that, I was like, that was brilliant. Versus saying, hey, we just come to our barbecue. I'd be like, I don't know. So that's where you got to figure out how to lean into this time. And have you seen that?
So for us, because we're in the crafting niche, ours actually did better. Mm-hmm. But we are hearing other people who have the same party niche, the gift cards, all those things, that they're not doing quite as well right now.
Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know when it will come back. Like another, like I'm glad I don't sell pants, uncomfortable pants that look good, because nobody wants to wear pants right now. And nobody wants to wear pants that look good but are uncomfortable because nobody's seeing your pants.
Right.
So I go, okay, if I were doing that, how could I sell cute tops? Because people are looking, they can see my top. So it's that.
I wonder how like Spanx and shoe sales have. I wonder what their graph looks like for this
Totally.
year.
But I do know Lululemon's doing better. Like they're killing it right now.
Okay.
And I do know that like athleisure stuff is selling out.
Yeah.
And I do know, I don't know if it's still happening, but like back maybe in April or May, like you could not buy dumbbells on Amazon because everybody had bought them. Those kinds of things where you're like, wow. Or kettlebells, kettlebells, like gone. I don't know if they're back in stock.
So you help people make blogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a done for you service.
Mm-hmm.
You help hand that off to people.
Mm-hmm.
So you help them learn about how to use the blog.
Mm-hmm.
You help people learn how to drive traffic to the blog. And you have a pop-up app that can be installed on the blog to help them drive traffic to other resources.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And then we also have a whole other business and site that really is like we get to like learn with Catch My Party and then bring that over to MiloTree. And it's weird because they are very separate businesses and they monetize in very different ways. So we kind of get to see it all. So
in the show notes, we'll have a whole bunch of links for people to click to all those things to find you.
Oh,
but
great.
If a listener wanted to find out more information about you and your products, where can they go online?
Definitely go to MiloTree.com. And email me. Like, here's the thing. I answer all my emails and I'm really easy to get in touch with. I'm at Jillian@MiloTree.com. And if you forget that, I'm at Jillian@CatchMyParty.com. And they both go to the same inbox. And I really love hearing from you. I think that this is weird. But during the pandemic, like it's really nice to see you because, we're seeing each other on Zoom. It's really nice to connect because I feel like we're also starved of connection. And what's nice is I'm not showing up for you with a mask on and trying to stay away from you. Like it's almost like we're sitting here just having coffee or something. So I feel this need to be connecting to people. It's like why I said to David, my husband, we had just finished one of our coaching groups and I said to him, I want to do another coaching group. And it was kind of like, I want to have another baby. And he was like, no, we had just finished it. We put a lot into it. And I said, no, I want to show up for people. And I want to have a reason to show up and to be helpful and to see people on Zoom and have them be a community, because that's what I'm starved for right now. So anyway, this is a long way of saying, please reach out to me. It's not just for you, it's for me too. I'd love to hear from you.
And then they can also follow your podcast, right?
Please follow my podcast. And Damon, you're going to be on next week, and I'm going to email you with all this good information. So so my podcast is the Blogger Genius Podcast. And what I really try to do in the podcast is not just say a lot of platitudes like, you got this. I really try to give real takeaways, and that you will leave like hopefully taking notes of like, oh, I could incorporate that in my business. And what's cool about doing it, I don't know if you feel this way, I get to call people like you, Damon, and go, come on my podcast, and not only will my audience learn from you, but I get to learn from you too. And it's really cool sitting where we sit, getting to bring people on and hearing their perspectives and learning what's working and what's not working. Like I like that you are asking me like, what isn't working? Because I find that I learn as much from that as I hear things over and over again. Like pull up if it's not working, like that advice I gave. Other people have said that's exactly something that I learned too. So I take note of that and go, oh, okay, that seems like a more universal truth.
I completely agree with that. I mean, we like actionable items. And I think that's one of the reasons I think we connected the first time, was because we both had those types of mentalities.
And that we're honest. Like I'm willing to tell you, I'm willing to share. This is the thing too. On my podcast, somebody will say something like, well, and that didn't work. And then they'll move on. And I go, wait. What do you mean that didn't work? What didn't work about it? Like I want to dig in and learn, hear those truths. And I feel like you and I both are willing to share, like this worked, but this didn't work. Or maybe think about it this way. And that, I think there's something, very authentic about that, very real. Because again, growing business, it's messy. And we're making it up. I love that you were saying the same thing. Like we're making it up. Like it looks like it might look one way, but the truth is like it's a little bit like food bloggers. Like what's in the shot looks beautiful, and then if you look 3 inches to the left and 3 inches to the right, it's just a mess. It's kind of like our business. I don't know about you, but I'm going to say it's like my business is like that.
And I think that is one of the reasons that we've been so successful, is because we don't hide any of that. We show our audience, like we'll go on the whiteboard and I'm like, this is what I did and this is how bad it went wrong.
Yes.
Right? It's not perfect.
Yes. And if I can help you not make the same mistake I made, or if I can help you work through your limiting belief while sharing my limiting belief, I think I just recorded a podcast episode where I did a guided meditation on perfection. And what I say is, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm not there yet. I'm in recovery, and I did it for hopefully my audience. So because again, it came from the theme of our current group of like their limiting beliefs, they're perfectionists, they kind of can't put stuff out that's a little rough. And so I thought, well, you know what, I'm gonna record this and just see how my audience responds. And also I did it for me. Because somehow if I can hear my own voice saying like, let go of that I can move beyond that, and I can try stuff and imagine myself doing things where I'm not worried about being perfect, how beneficial that could be. And again, that's like an experiment. I don't know how it, people seem to like it, but it's like, well, I'm going to try that, and I'm going to put out the fact that it's not like I'm the perfection God and that I've solved this. I'm just working on it daily.
I think if you ever solve it, it's probably time to hang up the hat.
I think I've made it to nirvana and I've disappeared.
Right. All right. So as always, I have one last question for you. So can you tell me what being a maker means to you?
I don't think there's a better path. I don't. I think that we are put on this earth to make, to create, to build, to explore. And I think that making taps into all of those things. Do I think this path is easy? I don't, because you have to face yourself a lot. But do I think it's really inherently satisfying? I do.
All right, any last word?
Know that we are all in the muck together, and that like if it looks effortless for somebody else, trust me, it's not.
It's definitely not effortless. A lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Sleep.
Yes, but it's satisfying. And it is, and it will challenge you, and it will hold up a mirror to you and show you all the great things about you and all the things that could use a little work. And if you're willing to go on that ride, I think there's nothing better.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right.